Welcome to an enlightened hour of interactive talk. This is Guided Spirit Conversations with host Marla Goldberg. In this program, we spotlight guests from all over the globe who have helped others change their lives and will provide you with the tips, tools, and techniques that you need to help you make a difference in your own life. Now, here is Marla Goldberg.
Hello, everyone, and happy Thursday. How are you all doing today? I am so happy to be here. I am talking to you from Kenosha, Wisconsin. I'm traveling again. And first, before we start the show, I want to say happy birthday to some special people in my life. Laura Rico, Dan Gaylord, and Renee Apec. Happy, happy birthday. May your days be magical, your years be incredible. And I'm so grateful that you're in my life. Okay, so, I also want to say one more thing. I do want to send out prayers to the people of Afghanistan. So let's pray that we can get them out safely and that they stay safe and the women stay safe and that there's no retribution during all of this chaos. So prayers, big prayers to them. Welcome again. So I want to talk to you about today's guest. She is the Midwestern Spiritual Sparkplug. She is the Bette Midler of mystical movement. Her name is Marilyn Harper, and Marilyn is a renowned public speaker, facilitator, spiritual teacher, and channel of Adironnda and the Council of Light. She is a walk-in, and I know that we've talked about walk-ins before, but we're going to talk about it again. And we're going to talk about all she does and how she works with her clients. She's the creator of the Holographic Healing, a 5-part certification course in alternative healing. And we're going to talk about that as well. And stay tuned because Marilyn has a giveaway that she's going to offer at the end of the show. Welcome, Marilyn. How are you doing today?
I am doing fabulously today. Thank you so much, Marla, for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. And I love your show.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I am so happy to have you on. And there's so much to talk about. So I don't want to lose any time. I know we spoke a little bit off air, but let's talk about the beginnings because you were normal until you had your walk-in, and I shouldn't say, Claire, delete that. Not normal, but you were living the normal human life that we all think we should be living. And then you had an experience and it shifted everything in your life. Let's talk about it.
Yes, it did shift everything. And I think that's a really good way to describe it. As I was a normal person. I was a regular person. I was, deacon in the Christian church. I was selling advertising for a country western radio station. I was, a regular person. And I had my gallbladder out and there were complications following the surgery. And due to those complications, I was waiting to be x-rayed and waiting for tests to be done. And I'd been waiting for 26 hours in excruciating pain. And so I finally said, if I'm going to be in this much pain, I would rather die. And that's when I guess I held up my hand and said, okay, all those plans that I made before I came into this world about a walk-in and a transformation and awakening, this is the time. And unbeknownst to me, that took place. And it took about a 24-hour time period. As a matter of fact, they did I made enough, my walk-in made enough racket that they took me in to get the tests immediately.
Really?
And still didn't know exactly what the cause was, but they did all kinds of, pumping and tubes and everything going every which way. And my son came into the room at that time and he said to me, I don't know who you are, but you are not my mom. And like he didn't even know what he was saying. I didn't know what he was saying until years later. I went into the hospital as one person and actually came out as a different person. And Marla, I would not have believed it was possible if it didn't happen. I mean, because I was
a skeptic?
Absolutely. I was not metaphysical at all. I was a writer and had written 6 plays that were
Wow.
all successfully produced. Um, and I came out of the hospital not wanting to go on stage, not wanting to do my plays unless I redid them and made them a spiritual awakening of some sort. And I already had, bookings set up for me to perform them. And some of them I just couldn't do. It was wild because I didn't want to do the same things. I didn't want the same friends. I didn't
I
have
have
the same skills.
speaking about that, the clothes you walked in with, when you saw them, it's as a new soul, did you go, whose are those?
Exactly. I mean, I saw them in my closet. My walkout, she could wear red and black every day for 2 weeks and never repeat an outfit. And she always had gigantic earrings on that would drag her shoulders. And me, these are big earrings for me. And and I don't it's only been in the past 2 years that I've been able to wear red, and only in the past 10 years or so that I've been able to wear black. So
Wow.
I immediately went to pastels, which there was nothing in my closet that was pastels. So I had to go shopping, and the first thing I purchased was a pale pastel pink suit that and a pastel peach colored like jumpsuit, like sweats and things. I'd never owned a matching set of sweats, and I purchased that, and I thought, who is this? What is this about? Because it just didn't register. I'd never heard of a walk-in. I never heard of someone that had a soul transformation while they're in the hospital. And I didn't realize what had happened till 3 years later.
And well, why 3 years later? What happened 3 years later?
Well, it was interesting because during that 3-year time period, I kept thinking, did I have a stroke? What happened in the hospital? And why does everything feel so different? And, in the past, my walkout had an amazing memory, and I had to work at remembering things that happened in my own childhood. Then, in on Thanksgiving Day, actually, we have a big Thanksgiving meal, and my mother came to me. I mean, there was 70 people in my parents' house,
Wow.
and so there was lots of commotion, and we're all really animated and loud and kind of having fun. And uh, she came to me and held out a book called Strangers Among Us and said, have you read this book? And I said, well, no, I haven't. Could I borrow it? And she said, no, you can't, because you never return things. And which is true. And then a couple of days later, I was on a date with a really good friend of mine. And he said, I've got this book, Strangers Among Us, and it reminds me of you. Would you like to borrow it? And I said, yes. And then one thing led to another, and we never got to me borrowing the book. I'm like, what is it with this book? And then again, 3 days later, the universe arranged for me to go on a 12-hour trip to Wisconsin. And so we were driving to Wisconsin, and I was saying how after my surgery, I just felt so different, and I didn't know what was going on, and it was bizarre. And he said, have you ever heard of a walk-in? And I'm like, like in the beauty shop or at the doctor's office. And he said, no. And he said, you should read the book Strangers Among Us by Ruth Montgomery. I'm like, what is it with this book? And so we talked for the rest of the trip about the walk-in phenomenon. I thought, oh my God, that happened to me. The bizarre thing is, Marla, is when I went back to my mother and asked her about the book Strangers Among Us, she's like, I don't have that book. And I said, you did, you had it in your hand. And we looked all through her bookshelves, and there was no book, Strangers Among Us.
Wow.
Then I went to the guy that I had the date with, and I said, okay, so you told me to read the book Strangers Among Us, and we were going to go by your house and pick it up, and you were going to loan it to me, but we went to a movie instead and got sidetracked. And he said, I've never read any books by Ruth Montgomery. What are they about? I'm like, holy smokes.
Wow.
What happened? And then I went to my third friend and asked him, the book Strangers Among Us, did you tell me to read that? And he said, yeah. I thought, what was it? It was the universe's way of letting me know by people that I trusted that it was time for me to awaken to what had happened. And
Amazing.
I did. And I set myself on the spiritual path then. That was 1996. And I started doing energy work with someone to clear out the old patterns. And, a walk-in, there's contracts and agreements that the walk-out,
Right.
the walk-in still has to complete those. And I did. And it's a fascinating undertaking. I've always believed until just recently that the walk-in soul of that time period, it's completely different now when somebody experiences a walk-in, but in that time period in the 90s, that it was a completely new advanced soul coming in to take their place, which is why I had trouble with my memories and things like that. About 3 years ago, Cryon, who is the being that Lee Carroll channels,
Yes.
he actually did, Cryon gave a whole presentation about me. It's actually on my website under the walk-in phenomenon.
I saw that. That was very interesting.
It is very interesting. And Cryon said that it's not a different soul, but it's the same soul, several generations more advanced. So that would explain why the memories had receded,
Yeah.
but that I could still, connect with them. That explains that, I didn't need the same skill set, several generations more advanced that I needed right then. And so it's all been a fascinating undertaking.
It's so interesting. You said a couple of times that your walk-in is different than the walk-ins today. What is the difference?
The walk-ins today generally are what I would call a composite. Their higher self comes in to join their regular self, if you would. I don't want to say higher.
It's more of an enmeshing of them.
Yeah, it's a merging of those energies to where generally over a short period of time, 24 to 48 hours, when I say a short period of time, they experience a sort of awakening to their own soul's essence. And before then, they may not have ever even had any terminology like that or thought about their soul. And now, because it in the olden days, in the 90s, it took us about 8 years to actually integrate completely. And because the world is operating at a faster pace right now.
The veils are lifting.
Yes, it's like, woohoo, keep running.
Right.
The walk-ins or the people that have experienced a soul transformation is what I call it now. They are here to help with the shifting planet. They're here because, as you know, the planet is shifting into the fifth dimension, and it's shifting drastically. And with that, the people on the planet are having a little trouble, like the situation in Afghanistan. That is a part of that. What that is doing is it's drawing all of our attention to something that is not in integrity. So we as light workers, or as Adironnda, the spokesman for the Council Light channel, as light workers, we can send that energy there for love, for guidance, for clarity, for wisdom. So the things that are not in integrity can be placed into a place of alignment, because as you know, in the fifth dimension, the things that are really not in integrity are just imploding upon themselves, including situations in our own lives. And they're doing that right now. And they're coming to the surface for us to deal with. And walk-ins, or people that have experienced this soul transformation or soul awakening, maybe, they're really here to help with that experience.
So can anybody say, I want to transfer my soul? Or is that, how does the phenomenon happen? Do you have any idea, insight into that?
I would love to have an answer to that question. But because in the olden days, we normally didn't have that kind of control to where you say, okay, although there was a book called The Third Alternative, and it was written by a walk-in, an alternative to suicide. So that started awakening the process of saying, I really want to have a soul awakening, or I want to connect with my higher self. I want to have that soul transformation. So I honestly believe that now you can, through meditation, through intention, through the connection of you and your soul, awaken to your true essence. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have the same issues or opportunities to grow through that the previous energy did. It means that you have more skill sets, you have more connections. And actually, in 2 courses that I facilitate, the Channelers Academy and Holographic Healing, which you mentioned, they take that intention and build upon the innate ability to, with holographic healing, see interdimensionally into the body and place it back into a form of alignment. And in the Channelers Academy, connect directly with your own guidance system or the guidance system of someone that you are working with, and bring that information through, which is an innate ability that we're all born with, but somehow we let that go. And I think that that is all a part of that process of awakening to the real world that we are choosing to live in. Does that make sense?
It does to me, and I hope it does to those out there. Marilyn, we're going to take a quick break. Hold on out there. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk more with Marilyn Harper. Stay tuned.
Okay, excellent. All clear. Back in a couple minutes.
Thank you. All right. Well, that was fascinating.
Well, good.
Were you somewhere? You looked like you were getting information or something, the way you were like,
I was.
You were like in trance.
Yeah, I was thinking, okay, so how do I answer this question with today's language? So yeah, I was kind of thinking about asking the Adironnda and the guides how all that came about and why.
It's so interesting. And it's interesting you mentioned, Afghanistan, with everything that's going on about it imploding, because I could actually, as you were saying that, I actually saw that these guys are going to be so out of control that they're just going to implode their own Taliban at some point.
We really get the opportunity as light workers, and we can certainly talk about that, to focus energy to those refugees and the soldiers and the beings coming back from Afghanistan. I actually had an opportunity to work directly with soldiers returning from Afghanistan and have firsthand information as to how they return. So we really get the opportunity to focus on that.
I think, like many vets who are actually in action, I think they all come back changed by what they've experienced, what they have to do, what they see, how they have to protect themselves in a different way. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because look at the Vietnam. I mean, people came back from Vietnam, and even if they weren't on the front lines, they were still affected by what they experienced, I mean, even just having a bomb go off, 20 feet from you affects you. It gives you PTSD.
Exactly. And I work in Branson, and at that point, Spirit had me working in a hotel, and somehow the universe arranged for a chaplain to get in contact with me, and soldiers that came back from Afghanistan would come and spend a week in a homespun, home-filled, loving environment. And that helped them later when they returned to their families.
I think that's a great step to bring back to help them integrate back into a different kind of life.
And we could even talk about that as to how someone that's experienced a soul transformation, that you never know where you're going to be placed to do your part in the awakening of the planet.
Yeah. Wow. I think that's such a noble thing to do, to help people coming back that have been changed based on circumstances beyond their control.
Right. So who knows what the refugees and the people that have worked there, and it is definitely, we can indeed, as light workers, shed some light on them.
Marlyn, we are coming back.
Perfect. Thanks, Matt.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, I'm speaking with Marilyn Harper this week. And Marilyn is a public speaker, facilitator, spiritual teacher, and channel of Adironnda and the Council of Light. In addition, she is a walk-in soul, or has a walk-in soul. I don't think she is one, but has one. And we were talking about what a walk-in is on the past segment. And during the break, we were talking about walk-ins and people who come back from war. And Marilyn herself has had firsthand experience dealing with soldiers that had been in Afghanistan and come back. So I'm going to bring Marilyn back on, and we're going to talk a little bit about that piece of information, because it's something I don't think we think about very often. And so let's talk about how being a walk-in soul can help in various ways, such as with the soldiers. Welcome back, Marilyn.
Thank you for having me back, and thank you for your fascinating questions. Yes, during the break we were talking about the soldiers in Afghanistan and the refugees and all of that, and how we as awakened individuals can help. And you just, as a walk-in or a person who has awakened or experienced that transformation that I was talking about, where all of a sudden you think, what can I do to help the world?
Right.
We come in with a burning desire to make a difference or be the difference. And the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it, arranged for me to move to Branson, Missouri, which I never would have thought that I would move to Branson, Missouri. It's like the buckle of the Bible Belt in my definition. And again, through a series of synchronicities, I got connected with the United States Army.
Which is so interesting.
I know. I can't even tell you how that happened, but it led me into a conversation with a specific chaplain who had several deployments in Afghanistan, and had noticed that the soldiers coming back were returning to the U.S. quite traumatized. And they had spousal abuse. They were just quite traumatized, even greater than the soldiers coming back in Vietnam. And so we developed a program where he and I developed a program where they would come into a loving environment direct from Afghanistan, a loving environment. They would go see, fun, light shows here in Branson. They would experience the lake and the cleansing aspect of the water in the lake. They would have sort of their souls re-recognized and held in a loving environment for a week before they returned home to their families. And they found that once they returned home to their families, that there was a vast difference in their mental stability than the ones that didn't go through that process.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was fascinating. Unfortunately, with a change of leadership in the government, that program was cut because I guess they didn't think that soldiers needed spiritual enlightenment or something. But it was cut, and I look at all of the soldiers and the people that are U.S. citizens and the Afghani refugees that are coming into the country. They have to have that same kind of trauma that has been instilled in their cells. And I don't know how we can affect that on a larger scale, except to hold them in the energy of light and really ask for divine enlightenment. And if there's someone in power that can create some kind of an atmosphere of love in that in those people or in those environments, let it be so, to rearrange the universe, because the universe rearranges itself to accommodate your picture of reality.
Absolutely, it does. And here's the thing, you go into the army, they break you down and turn you into the soldier that they need you or want you to be, for the most part. And then when you come back, you need the total opposite. And I never thought about that until just now. And I just heard the word movement, like it needs to be a movement.
It really does. And I don't know I know Adironnda has been very adamant in past double-digit sessions. We do a broadcast once a month, and in past sessions about really being very, very direct in it's time to be proactive. You can sit on your sofa and meditate and send love and light, and that's great. Do that, and then get off of your sofa, open the front door, and see how you can personally be of service and what kind of action that you can do to help the state of the universe, help the state of this planet, because the people, the planet is fine, but the people, they could use a little stability right now. I mean, we've just been through COVID and
we're still going through COVID.
Yeah. We all thought it would be over a long time ago.
Right.
And it's still going on, and we're still asking, why is this? And we're still going into that energy, and I don't think it matters why it was or why it happened or why the non-war in Afghanistan has gone on for 20 years.
Right.
Why all of that. I think now we have to say, okay, this is the current reality, and this is the reality that I'm intending to affect. What is my task? How can I be of service to humanity at large, to the mass consciousness? And it may be just as simple as changing your own language. It may be just as simple as when you're in a group of people and they start railing on this or that or the other thing or whatever, to ever so gently smooth that conversation over and say, well, that's great, and I understand how you feel, but what would be a good solution that would be a win-win for all parties?
Right.
And start, you know, Adironnda says that there's a solution to every problem, and there's a solution, and they call it an opportunity.
It is. I agree.
It is an opportunity to grow in a new way, and
It's true.
and that's what kind of what we're connecting with, is that energy and that focus. And you know, our livelihood has to be tied to be of service in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
And just like you, Marla, you're in service to humanity with your broadcast, because you're helping to open people's mind to the infinite possibilities. You know, we teach a class called Everything is Possible. And it kind of blows your mind that everything is possible.
It is.
So we here in Missouri, or you in North Carolina or South Carolina or Wisconsin or Colorado or Australia or Germany or wherever people are,
Right.
we can affect the consciousness of the planet.
Well,
One with, excuse me?
I'm sorry, go ahead. I was going to say
What?
the planet is consciousness.
It is consciousness, exactly. And we can affect it with, one, our intention, and two, with our proactivity, with you know, if it takes writing your Congress, if it takes to starting a recycling plan in your community, if it takes to starting a productivity and saving the trees, whatever.
Right. And also your words, your thoughts, your deeds make an effect on the planet, which makes an effect on everything, because it's all a ripple effect.
Yes, yes, it is. And that ripple effect is like a tidal wave sometimes.
Yes, it is.
And I think that's kind of what's happening with the planet, is there is a quickening of the energy. You feel it, I feel it, we all feel it.
Yes.
A quickening and an urgency amongst light workers, an urgency, not even just amongst, I mean, people are light workers, they may not even have a knowledge of that term.
Right.
But they're moving energy in a positive way.
Right.
And
I agree.
I think that that's where we get the opportunity to sort of help guide and awaken humanity to this new frequency.
So true. And it's being conscious of your word. I'm big on your words, thoughts, and you know what you do, because it really makes an effect. It affects the next person, or the people in your household, the animals, everything. And so for me, it starts there. For you, it may start in a different way.
Well, I think for every single person, it starts in a different way. I mean, in our class, Everything is Possible, we start with awareness, and we actually have awareness bracelets that help you, and you can use any bracelet, but they help you be aware of every time you have a negative thought, a negative response, a negative, you know, information that you're communicating, that you change the bracelet to the other wrist.
Okay.
And you may change it 150 times in the first hour. But eventually you're becoming so aware of your thoughts, words, and deeds that you iron them out so they are in that positive flow, and you learn to express yourself in the positive flow of energy.
I use the term clear, delete.
Clear, delete.
Yeah, you can say clear, delete, you know, erase, whatever you want to say, but I want to stop at that negative stuff from getting into the universe. So as soon as I realize something, it's like clear, delete. I say it 3 times, and then I know it has just been stopped in its tracks, and I have to pay more attention to what I'm doing, saying, thinking.
Exactly. I mean, it starts with just one person.
Yes.
And as you say, it ripples out just like the rings when you drop a pebble in a pond.
Exactly.
That pebble, no matter how big the pond, affects the life that we're living in.
You know, we've got 4 minutes to break, but I wanted to, you brought up Okay, I'm going to say Adironnda and the Council of Light. And I wanted to find out more about who Adironnda is and who the Council of Light is and how they guide you, how you channel their messages.
Well, Adironnda is a spokesbeing from the 17th dimension and the angelic realm. They've never claimed to be an angel or an archangel, but they say that they are from the angelic realm and the 17th dimension, wherever that is. And they connected with me interdimensionally. I mean, I didn't know it at the time, but I was leaving my body at night and going through the Intergalactic Federation and doing energy work in other dimensional realms. And they were sent as a messenger from Source to connect with that and to find someone who could hold their energy to bring the message to Earth. And because the people on the planet get the opportunity to shift a little more quickly than they were. And their intention, Adironda's intention, is to help every single person know what it feels like to be held in unconditional love.
Mm.
And actually, in the past year, Adironnda has changed that verbiage to change it to be held in infinite love. Because even the word unconditional starts with a negative. And the language is that important. And the Council of Light is beings 12 or more that are archangels, ascended masters, beings that have lived on this planet that are a part of their council. They used to be called the company or the team, and they've graduated to the council.
Wow, that's so interesting. And so you do channelings of them in your monthly talk, or how do you work with them?
Yes, I channel anytime anyone asks, and I do the double digit activation and message each month on the double digit of the month. When they first came in 1999, they said to pay attention to the numbers and double digits predominantly, like 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, 11. And so now, ever since 9/9 of 09, we do a monthly broadcast, and it is about the master number of that month and where the state of the universe is right now and what you can do about that. And then this summer, we've done a broadcast on Facebook on the 21st of the month, like 5/21/21, 6/21/21, which is something they've never done. And so they are really working to help with the shifting planet.
And what's the Facebook group name so people can sign up for it?
Absolutely. It's Adironnda Marilyn Harper, ; everything is possible.
Short name.
If
Okay.
Marilyn Harper, if you Google Adironnda, it will take you there.
Perfect.
ADIRONNDA.com.
And also check out Marilyn's website at AdironndaSpiritualHealer.com. So it's AdironndaSpiritual Healer.com, which will be on the link. So check out the website so that you can see all that Marilyn does, and stay tuned to the end so you can find out what the gift is, but you'll go to the website to collect the gift. So we'll be right back after this break.
Okay, great. We're all clear. Back in a couple minutes.
Thank you.
And we can, that was a lot. We can always put the website as Adironnda.com, because that will take you there and it's much easier. And if that's hard to remember, MarilynHarper.com will take you to the same place.
That's really easy. So I can do that.
Yeah, because Adironnda Spiritual Healer, we did that in 2010 because of, as you know, keywords and things like that.
Right.
But now it's like MarilynHarper.com. That
There
works.
you go. Make it really easy.
Yes.
So we'll send everybody there next time after break for that. So they're like what's it, locked and loaded, Adironnda and this council. So anytime you just sort of like want to tune in, you can just open up and channel.
Okay, I think that would be a good thing. We have in the last segment, how many minutes?
We will have, well, if you talk long about your charity, that's what makes it. So if you just talk, like give a brief overview about the charity, nationalcac.org. If you do it quickly, then we have more time so that you could talk about the activation, or if you want to channel Adironnda and the council, whichever is yours. And then, like I said, at the end, we'll do the giveaway. I'll have you talk about your giveaway at about 4 minutes, and then I'll do my thank yous.
All right. I'll talk about, if I talk about the charity, and if you want me to explain the giveaway, it would probably be better if I do it before I channel and do the activation, because afterwards I'll be done.
Well, let's do that. We'll go straight to charity shout out, go to the giveaway, and then you can be free to bring in the council, Adironnda and the council, and then do the activation, and we'll close with that.
All right. And you'll need about what, 4 minutes, or when I see the end, see the to
At
wrap.
about 4 minutes, I start wrapping up. I need at least 3 to do my closing.
Okay.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I'll
we're
keep
coming
an eye.
back.
Perfect. Thanks, Matt.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for sticking around. If you're just tuning in, I'm here with Marilyn Harper. Marilyn is a public speaker, facilitator, spiritual teacher, channel of Adironnda and the Council of Light. She is a walk-in, which we talked about in the first segment. And because we have so much to do in this last piece, I'm going to bring her on very fast. Hello, Marilyn. Welcome back.
Hello, Marla.
So we've got this is charity shout out time, and Marilyn's charity is the nationalcac.org. Can you share with us what the National CAC is and how people can help?
Well, the National CAC is actually the National Advocacy Center for Children. And it is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I actually wrote 3 plays, or 2 plays, and I wrote one, raising money for victims of violent crimes. Myself and my son were actually victims of a violent crime when he was 7, and when I went through the legal system, I realized that there was really very little support in the advocacy centers, and so that is my charity of choice. So you can go to nationalcac.org and make a donation. We do not have a donation button up yet on our website, but I would love to put one there. Child advocacy centers throughout the planet are really in need of help. Yes. So that is my charity of choice.
It's a great charity, and yes, so much is going on with children, especially where they're getting nabbed and for sex trafficking and all these other horrific things that people think is okay to do to a child or animal. And to me, it's not okay to do it to any living being. Even, killing animals just for sport rather than for nutrition. I find it's not acceptable.
Exactly. I agree. And there probably is a national council for the protection of animals. And there definitely is for the protection of children. So
our children need to be, they're our future. They need to be protected. They need to be helped, especially if they have had to be involved in a violent something or other, that, that they get the right help that they need to for their healing.
Yes, absolutely. And so the nationalcac.org is a great way to start and go from there. So,
Perfect.
thank you for allowing me to even mention that.
Well, thank you for mentioning it, because it's big. It's big, it's important, and I hope you'll check out that website so that you can help children, or if you have your own website that helps children in need, to help them as well. So it's just helping children, helping living beings, even the refugees. I know we keep talking about them, but I don't want to get put on them, because I know you have a giveaway that I said we were going to talk about in the third segment. So here we are. Talk to me about the giveaway. What is it?
Well, it's fascinating because it kind of connects right into the child advocacy centers, because, many times abuse goes on lifetime after lifetime after lifetime.
Yes.
And or positive things go on lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And so I started studying the Akashic records, and realized in that study that most of humans here on this planet, with the exception of the stone beings, which is a whole other group, that are actually from this planet, they came from other galaxies.
Yes.
And they came from other galaxies with one intent. And then as they experience their lifetimes here and experience other lifetimes on other planets, all that plays into who we are today. And so my giveaway is exploring your galactic Akash. It's a class that we did. I think you have the website.
I do indeed. It is. Let me find.
I've got it here. It is the website is galactic-akash period Adironnda. So that's GALACTIC dash AKASH period dot Adironnda ADIRONNNDA.com. And that's a class that we taught that was really a great class. And a lot of people had a lot of results from that class, and it helps you find your origin and tells you what to recognize on the different species. There's 12 root races of extraterrestrials, just like there's 12 root races of earth beings, which is interesting. And it helps you, shows you some of the physical traits, some of the emotional traits, so you might be able to recognize yourself in that. And then it takes you into a meditation to activate that, or to open up that galactic Akash. It's really a powerful class.
Wow, it sounds amazing. I might have to check that one out.
I think you'll enjoy it.
I think I will too. And then, wow, so everybody, don't forget to tune in to this class. Again, galactic-akash.adironda.com. And that too will be on our site, so you can find it and pick it up. So now so now we're going to move into the next segment, which is, are we going to channel, or are we going into the activation?
Well, as we talked during the break, Adironda's kind of nudging you and they're nudging me as well. So why don't we just take a deep breath, and we'll see where we go, and we'll let Adironnda do the activation.
Sounds great. Perfect.
So it is good day to you, huh? Oh, so very good to see your light, your brightness, your divine presence, your spirit. We also must give gratitude for you, dearest Marla, for bringing this energy on such a universal scale in the work that you are doing with your guided conversations. Understand that as you and the vessel Marilyn were talking, we were present. We are interdimensional, so we can go anywhere or be anywhere that we choose to be. We are always with her. She is not always with us. And with that energy, you see, you are indeed affecting humanity and following your guidance as an awakened being to your own spirituality. As the vessel Marilyns said, we have been very direct with get off of the sofa and get out of the house and take some action, in addition to being on the sofa in your meditation. So there are so many ways that you can be the change that you wish to see in the world. As you say, the language is important. Your energy is important. For the language by itself does not do it, because you have to have that belief, that energy, that frequency, that holding of the space behind you in your heart.
Yes.
To allow the language to be possible. And with that holding, with that intention, understand that we know you know, but we're going to tell you anyway, because there's someone out there that needs to know it, that every single intention is like a purchase order to the universe. It is being made manifest as you speak when that intention comes through your heart. So if you are feeling like you're not good enough, or feeling like you don't have everything that it takes to go out and do the action that you wish to do, that feeling is actually the part of it that is expanded. So let us just activate that energy. We're not sure how much time we have left, huh? You can tell us, huh?
We only have 3 minutes left, and then, but you continue. And what I've done is arrange that the audio will go off, but we are going to continue to stream on Facebook and record this so that people can touch base and see this.
How about if we have a quickie activation and then we'll turn it back to you?
Perfect.
So take a deep breath. We are going to interdimensionally place our hands on the front and back of your heart chakras. Take another deep breath. If you're driving, do not close your eyes. And we see each of you being activated with the knowledge of your next step, your divine purpose. And so it is. Take a deep breath. Sigh it out. And come back to the present. Oh, dearest beloved, we love you so much. We see you, we know you, we hold you in infinite love always, so you can be the love that you are. We bid you namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, everyone, we're going to be running out of time quickly, but I want to say thank you to Marilyn Harper, to Adironnda, and the Light Council. I want to say thank you to you for taking the time to be a part of this podcast. I want to thank everybody at Voice America for all you do to get the show up and running and making the sound so good. Bridget, thank you. Right arm, left arm, my assistant. I can't say enough thanks for all you do for me. And until next week, as always, I send you love, blessings, and gratitude. Know how much you're loved, and know how grateful I am that you are in my life in whatever capacity you're in it. So stay well, stay healthy, stay grateful. Till next week. Take care.